How is your business affected by the tariffs that are being proposed or implemented by the president? This has been batted around for the last couple of months. There are people on both sides that are up in arms. And no matter what the policy is, somebody is going to be affected. And we have to look at this from multiple perspectives. One is the global and aggregate perspective on all of us. And then we have all the special interest groups that are concerned about exactly what happens to them. Here's the issue. Number one, the president has proposed these tariffs, and this is not political commentary, but he's proposed them to help level the playing field. The Chinese and certain other governments have not been playing fair. They've been manipulating currency, and they've been doing things that affect the dollar and the way that we interact in a material way. And part of how you know that this is the fact is that the Europeans are very upset that we've levied these tariffs, because we're going to stop a practice called dumping. And what that means is the Chinese have been moving an awful lot of product to the United States, which reduces the price, floods the market, and then drives our manufacturers out of business because it becomes unprofitable for them. Why would Europe be mad that we impose tariffs? Because the Chinese can't dump in the United States anymore. So guess where they're going to start dumping and driving prices down? They're going to start doing it in Europe, and that is really upsetting to them. So if you take a little bit bigger look, if you look at the backstory, you pull back the covers a little bit, you start to realize that the government's job is to be the referee on this global playing field and make sure that everything is fair. Now, no matter what we pick, whether it's steel, aluminum, food, any of the other commodities, all of these things, somebody is on the losing end of the stick. But we have to take a look at how we fare in the aggregate, not only as producers or business people who manufacture things, but also as consumers, because every one of us is a consumer. So every time you read an article and the article says that there's going to be inflation, and why would there be inflation? Because with the tariffs, like any tax, the price of the product goes up, which means that it gets spread across all the people that buy it. So prices go higher, and that's inflationary because prices now have gone higher. But you know what? It's not exactly true that a lot of these things have been inflationary. Prices, are not going up because of this reason. The government tells us that inflation is 2%. When I look at things, it sure feels like it's a lot more than 2%. But of course, inflation doesn't include things like lodging or the consumer price index, which is the inflation measure. Doesn't include things like lodging, transportation, housing, all the things that go up the most. So it's hard to tell if these tariffs are having much of any impact. But I think in the long run, what's going to happen is that these other countries are not going to start a trade war with the United States. Why not? Well, number one, why does the media tell us there will be a trade war? Because it sells papers and it sells airtime and it sells advertisements. And you have to really think that the media is in the business of doing that. So a little bit of sensationalizing, and I'm not talking about yellow journalism. I'm just talking about spicing up the soup a little bit by putting some keywords and buzzwords and things that make us upset. They sell more airtime. But would the Chinese really declare a trade war on the United States? I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. It's because there's one product, one commodity that we haven't put a tariff on. And China is a giant, giant buyer of this particular product. And that's the debt of the United States of America. We're running a deficit. And in order to fund that deficit and pay our bills, the Federal Reserve has to issue bonds. When we were kids, they used to say they turn on the printing presses. That's not exactly true. They issue bonds and they sell those bonds to countries who want to buy them. Now, why would the Chinese want to buy our bonds? Other countries have a very low interest rate. We have a little better interest rate than some of those other countries. So they want to buy our paper. We're the number one currency in the United States. Everybody needs the United States to be successful. Do you think that China, who holds billions or trillions, I think something close to $8 trillion of our bonds, do you think that they have any incentive of seeing us go down the drain? Do you think they have any incentive of doing anything that would damage this enormous investment that they have in us? Yeah, we're talking an enormous investment of something like $8 trillion. I don't think so. So for all those reasons, I don't think in the long run there's going to be anything damaging that happens. There'll be some short run skirmishing. There'll be a lot of yelling and screaming, and there'll be a lot of posturing. But at the end of the day, They don't have what it takes to be able to do that because they don't want to see us go down the drain, and they're not going to make that happen. There will be a lot of face saving, because one of the things the president's doing is he's polarizing people, and he's doing things that really are going to cause them to need to save some face. But at the end of the day, I don't think a trade war is happening. I don't think that your business is going to be affected the negative way that the media puts out there. So that's how you're going to profit from the inside, take advantage of the information that I have about the economy, the business, and everything that I've done in my career. I bring that to you so you can put that to work in your business. With all that said, I look forward to talking to you next week.